It highlights Malaysia's firm stance. And youths urge to be more concerned about democracy. And thanks for your company. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Semasa arrived at the Royal Malaysian Air Force Base in Subang this morning after concluding his 4-day working visit to the United States. Some 400 people, including UMNO leaders, students and youths, were present at the Air Force Base to welcome the arrival of the Prime Minister. Also in attendance were Federal Territories Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Shahidan Qasim and Rural Development Minister Datuk Seri Mahathir Khalid. The Prime Minister then spent about 30 minutes greeting the crowd. During the working visit, the Prime Minister took part in the ASEAN-US Special Summit and met with US President Joe Biden and ASEAN leaders. In a press conference on the final day, Datuk Seri Semasa described the visit as successful and has further strengthened Malaysia-US as well as ASEAN-US ties. The Premier said during the ASEAN-US Special Summit chaired by Biden, he touched on the Russia-Ukraine crisis and issues concerning the South China Sea, Palestine and Myanmar. According to him, the conflicts not only affected the world economy but also sacrificed the lives of innocent people.
Perang tidak menguntungkan sesiapa, malah perang merugikan. Itu yang pertama. Dan yang kedua, saya kata perang walaupun berlaku di Ukraine, perang ataupun konflik berlaku di Ukraine, yang suffer adalah negara yang tak ada kena-mengena pun, termasuk Malaysia. So, jadi saya kata semalam pun saya dah sebut, Amerika mesti menggunakan pengaruh dia untuk menyelesaikan isu.
During the summit, Malaysia was the only country that openly called on the US to help implement the United Nations resolution on the formation of a Palestinian state before the 1967 war that gave Jerusalem the right to be the Palestinian capital. In front of Biden, the Prime Minister urged the US to be honest and transparent in dealing with the Israeli-Palestinian issue and said Israeli atrocities against the Palestinians must be stopped immediately.
Kita menegaskan bahawa Malaysia minta supaya Amerika menggunakan kuasa dia dan memastikan isu Palestin dapat diselesaikan dengan segera. Kalau Amerika begitu cepat bertindak apabila kes berlaku di Ukraine, kita nak tindakan cepat juga dilakukan untuk menyelesaikan isu Palestin.
On the South China Sea issues, Malaysia wants the waterway to be free from outsiders' interference and to remain a free trade area, while urging superpowers like China and the US to end any provocations in the South China Sea. Meanwhile, Malaysia hopes that the Myanmar issue could be resolved in a diplomatic manner. As a country most affected by the influx of refugees from Myanmar, Malaysia also requested US assistance in relocating them to a third country. Datuk Seri Semasa's action in voicing Malaysia's firm stance on the issue of Palestine in front of the US President Joe Biden has attracted attention from the Palestinians. Chief Executive Officer of Aman Palestine Gaza, Omar Sayam, said the people of Palestine believe the solidarity and support showed by Malaysia would continue until they are freed from the cruelty of the Israel's Zionist regime. He also expressed his gratitude towards the Prime Minister for prioritizing the issue of Palestine during the US-ASEAN Special Summit that was recently held in Washington.
All respect and appreciation to the Malaysian Prime Minister, Mr. Ismail Sabri, for raising the Palestinian issue in his meeting with US President Joe Biden in Washington. This official support for the Palestinian cause is not new. Malaysia and its government always stand by the Palestinian people at all political and social levels.
Meanwhile, Malaysia's determination to speak out on the issue by urging the United States to be honest in resolving the atrocities committed by the Israeli regime against the Palestinians is proof of the country's firm and consistent stance on the matter.
Yang penting adalah kita melalui Perdana Menteri telah menyampaikan hasrat itu. Itu yang paling penting. Paling tidak kita memberitahu kepada Washington, pendirian Kuala Lumpur terhadap kekejaman yang dilakukan oleh rejim Tel Aviv. Dan dalam hal ini saya dikatakan mengucapkan syabas kepada Perdana Menteri kerana menimbulkan perkara ini. Kerana tidak ramai pemimpin dunia lain yang mahu menimbulkan perkara ini.
And in other news, the establishment of a working committee between Malaysia and the United States to address the issue of alleged forced labour is an equitable move to resolve palm oil and rubber issues, according to Plantation Industries and Commodities Minister Datuk Zuraida Kamarudin. In welcoming the decision by the United States via its Department of Customs and Border Protection (CBP) to set up the committee with the Malaysian government, Datuk Zuraida said the move was in the right direction to resolve the long outstanding issue that has unfairly plagued local industries, in particular palm oil and rubber. Datuk Zuraida said most of the claims of forced labour made by the non-governmental organisations, NGOs and other interest groups were not verified by the US authorities, which then resulted in Malaysian palm oil and palm oil products being banned. In a statement today, she said this is grossly unfair to the local industry. Datuk Zuraida said the government would continue to ensure that the country's commodity industry, one of the main contributors to the country's economic recovery after COVID-19 pandemic, is protected from misleading propaganda from various quarters. On Friday, Human Resources Minister Datuk Sri M. Saravanan said the committee, which would focus on exchanging information including formulating policies that could support Malaysia's initiatives towards combating forced labour, would meet every 3 months. Datuk Sri Saravanan also said the US CBP is expected to undertake a working visit to Malaysia at the end of this month and hold the workshop with the country's industry players. The young Di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Rayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah today departed for Abu Dhabi to pay his last respects to United Arab Emirates UAE President Sheikh Khalifa Zayed Al Nahyan, who died last Friday. The special aircraft carrying His Majesty departed from the Bunga Raya complex at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport at about 4:20 p.m. Al-Sultan Abdullah was accompanied by Comptroller of the Royal Household for Istana Negara, Datuk Ahmad Fadil Shamsuddin, Foreign Ministry Chief for Protocol, Datuk Wan Zaidi Wan Abdullah, and Chief Protocol Officer of the Malaysian Government, Datuk Rozainul Ramli. Deputy Foreign Minister Datuk Kamaruddin Jaafar and Prime Minister's Department Senior Deputy Secretary General Datuk Salehuddin Al-Yubi Zakaria were present to bid farewell to His Majesty. Prior to his departure, Al-Sultan Abdullah went through the Guard of Honour mounted by the 1st Battalion of the Royal Malay Regiment, consisting of 2 officers and 26 personnel. The ceremony for paying last respects to Sheikh Khalifa is being held for 3 days until tomorrow. Earlier, Al-Sultan Abdullah gave his consent for the personal flag of the young Di-Pertuan Agong to be flown at half-mast at Istana Negara for 5 consecutive days, to signify His Majesty's mourning over the passing of Sheikh Khalifa. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob expressed hope that youths will be more knowledgeable and concerned about the parliamentary democracy system and their role as young voters with the implementation of Undi 18 ahead of the next general election GE. He said youths play a big role in shaping the nation, especially in electing national leaders in line with the amendments to the federal constitution that guarantees their right to vote. In a message in conjunction with the 2022 National Youth Day theme, Ini Masa Kita, today, the Premier said the number of youth voters aged 21 to 40 in 2020 was 6.2 million people, which was 40.8% of the total 15.3 million registered voters.
Pada 12 Mac 2022 yang lalu, negara telah mencipta sejarah baru di mana golongan belia julung kalinya diberikan hak dan mandat untuk mengundi pada pilihan raya negeri Johor yang mencatatkan peningkatan kira-kira 28% dengan penambahan hampir 750,000 pengundi berusia 18 tahun ke atas daripada keseluruhan 2.6 juta pengundi berdaftar susulan pendaftaran automatik undi 18.
The Prime Minister said the increasing involvement of young people in the country's political arena was a positive sign and needed to be expanded widely. On the theme of this year's National Youth Day celebration, he said it reminded the people of the value of being in that age group and should be utilized as best as possible. This is also the time for youth to come forward through various opportunities provided in line with the From Youth to Youth concept. Meanwhile, the government, through the Ministry of Youth and Sports (KBS), will introduce 7 new categories for the National Youth Premier Awards this year. The Prime Minister said the initiative is to inspire youth to continue to contribute to the development of the country. The 7 new awards include Ikon Belia Karismatik, Ikon Belia Kelestarian Alam, Ikon Belia Reka Tekno, and Ikon Belia Influencer Social Media. Apart from that, Ikon Belia Sanjongan Budi, Ikon Youth Biz, and Ikon Belia OKU would also be introduced.
Saya juga berbesar hati mengumumkan bermula pada tahun ini anugerah Perdana Belia Negara akan dilaksanakan dalam majlis khusus yang penuh gemilang dan penggunaan logo tetap sambutan HBN sebagai komitmen kerajaan mengiktiraf pelaksanaan program yang meraihkan golongan belia negara.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister said that the government has agreed to continue the podium program until 2025 with a total allocation of 249 million ringgit for a period of 4 years. He said the continuation of this program not only provides encouragement for athletes among youths, but also for planning and preparation to be implemented in an orderly manner and to enable more outstanding achievements to be realized at the international level. And in conjunction of Wesak Day, which is usually celebrated in a big way among Buddhists in the country, but street processions with a sea of orange robes will not be seen this year to avoid massive crowds as devotees emerged from a 2-year abstinence of Avid festivity due to the COVID-19 pandemic. A survey in several states saw Buddhist families fervently visiting temples in the early hours of the morning to hold religious ceremonies and pay homage to Siddhartha Gautama, the religion's founder. They perform religious rituals by lighting candles and offering flowers to commemorate the birth, enlightenment, and death of Gautama Buddha. The grounds of the Mahavihara Buddhist temple in Brickfields in the nation's capital was filled with devotees as early as 8 a.m. and moderate crowds began queuing in the grounds of the synagogue to carry out religious activities such as rice and flower offerings and lighting of candles, as well as making donations to the temple. Temple officials said they will not stage 3 major events on this year's Wesak Day to control the size of crowds. These were a blood donation campaign distributing free food and drinks, while the last refrain was not to hold the procession. Normally on Wesak Day in the evening, there will be a chariot procession which can easily draw a 100,000 strong crowd accompanying it on foot. In Kedah, the Buddhist community huddled for religious ceremonies at the Kedah Buddhist Association in Alor after almost a 2-year absence due to the COVID-19 pandemic. According to association officials, this year's celebration was a blessing compared to Wesak Day previously being celebrated virtually. Apart from religious activities, food and drinks were also distributed to devotees amid stalls selling various items. In the Federal Territory of Labuan, Wesak Day was a day awaited by almost 500 devotees. A survey at the Labuan Buddhist Association revealed that the temple is flourish with religious activities minus prior restriction held in line with the nation's transition to the endemic phase. However, no stalls were allowed to engage in retail or selling food and drinks as a precaution to COVID-19. And coming up, MOE to expand Teachers' innovations to other schools. Stay with us. But first, the UMNO Special General Assembly today unanimously approved a motion to amend its constitution, which, among other things, allows party elections to be held no more than 6 months after a general election. The motion for the amendment, which involves Clause 10.16, Clause 15.3 and Clause 18.2, was tabled by UMNO Vice President Dato Sri Muhammad Khalid Nordin before 2,586 delegates who were present at the special meeting. UMNO previously postponed party elections at its branches, divisions and the Supreme Council levels for 18 months, after the 2018-2021 term ended on 30th June last year. The 18-month period will end by the end of this year, and UMNO elections must be held before 30th December 2022. The UMNO Special General Assembly took place at Dewan Merdeka, World Trade Center, Kuala Lumpur, which was followed by the party's 76th anniversary celebration and Idul Fitri gathering. It was also attended by Prime Minister Dato Sri Semasa, who is also UMNO Vice President. The Ministry of Education, MOE, will pay attention to all innovative approaches and initiatives created by teachers and expand them to other schools. Senior Education Minister Dr. Razzie Didin said normally innovations and initiatives undertaken by teachers only remained in their schools. He said that he had informed Education Director General Dato Nur Zamani Abdul of the initiatives and efforts that could be done so that the innovations could be expanded to other schools. He said the innovations that these teachers are implementing can be widely used because they are low cost, quick and with an easy approach.
Jadi konsep-konsep ini adalah merupakan konsep yang kita rasakan amat penting untuk anak-anak generasi masa hadapan terapkan dalam diri mereka. Jadi dalam untuk usaha kita menerapkan konsep ini, yang paling penting yang memainkan peranan paling besar adalah guru-guru.
Dr. Razzie said it was time to make changes to the country's education structure to compete with other countries. He said this at the opening ceremony of the Appreciation Festival of Malaysian Teachers at University Malaysia Kelantan in Bacho today. At the event, 27 teachers received awards under various categories, such as the Icon Award, Digital Champion Teacher, Excellent Teacher, and Innovative Teacher, among others. Now, a man was killed after being hacked and stabbed in an attack by a group of individuals in a fight which broke out near a food court in Kampung Baru in Bukit Mertajam on Saturday night. Seberang Perai Tengah District Police Chief ACP Shafi'i Abdul Samad said in the 8 p.m. incident, the victim in his 30s was believed to have been attacked by a foreman and a woman. He said the local man, who suffered serious injuries to several parts of his body, including the neck, was sent to Bukit Mertajam Hospital, HBM, for treatment before reportedly dying from his wounds. Based on the investigation, the attack took place in an open area near a food court in Kampung Baru, and it involved the victim with a woman and 4 local men who are believed to know each other. ACP Shafi'i, in a statement today, said the man was said to be involved in a fight with the group and sustained serious injuries and was taken to HBM by members of the public before being pronounced dead while receiving treatment. He said the group of suspects then fled in the vehicle and efforts to track them down were underway, while police did not rule out the possibility that the fight was due to revenge. The cause of the fight is still under investigation under Section 302 of the Penal Code for murder. First, Irvin Chang created history today when he became the first Malaysian to win an individual golf medal in golf at the SEA Games in Hanoi. Irvin outlasted Indonesia's Amadeus Christian Susanto in a 3-hole playoff for the men's individual title. Irvin calmly rolled in a birdie putt on the third extra hole at the Huron Lake Golf Course and Resort to also become the first Malaysian to emerge champion since the men's quartet of Iril Rizman Zahari as Siva Chandran, Sha'aban Hussain and Sahal Saidan last took the men's team goal in 2001. Earlier, Irvin came from 2 shots behind by cutting a 4 under 68 to end the regulation play at 7 under 209. However, Amadeus matched the efforts to force the play-off. The bronze went to Viravish Nark Pracha of Thailand after coming third on 210.
Able to win a gold medal after 21 years in golf for Malaysia and for the golf association definitely feels great. I'm happy and proud that I'm able to do that after 21 years for a gold medal. I've been wanting to do that since the 2017 SEA Games and I'm really happy that I'm able to achieve it today.
There was also joy in the women's individual competition with Janith Wong clinching the bronze. Now, the national wushu team bagged a bronze medal on the final day of the competition in the 31st SEA Games at the Khao Zai Gymnasium today. With that, the Malaysian team, comprising 6 new faces and 2 veterans, will return home with 2 golds, 1 silver and 2 bronzes, thus exceeding their target of 1 silver and 1 bronze. In today's action, Yap Waikin contributed a bronze medal in men's Gunshu when he scored 9.68 points to finish behind Indonesia's Seraf Naro Serega with 9.71 points and Singapore's Joan Lim Siwei with 9.69 points. The squad's overall performance in the biennial games was meaningful, especially for national coach Lim Yu Fai.
Actually, the medal, I rasa, for me, is not the most important thing. The most important thing is mereka punya performance. Yes, I am a bit, I happy. Some of the athlete, mereka ada mistake, tak ada deduct point. But some of the athlete, dia ada mistake. So we need to learn from the mistake and then come back again.
Picking up the news at 10, our top story, successful US visit highlights Malaysia's firm stance. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. Till then, it's lights out. I'm Brendan the Ball. Salam keluarga Malaysia, and to those celebrating, happy Wesak Day.